Well, welcome to all of you who are returning here. This is a lovely, very significant gathering, and I appreciate all of you who made the effort to be here. And I'm not excluding all of you who didn't make the effort to be here because you're online, and trust me, I get it. I welcome you all, especially those of you in Israel. Um, I thank you for putting this on the list of things to do. Um, Yesterday, I moved the the screen around to show everybody where we were sitting because it's so beautiful. I'm going to try to show it to you now as a picture that I took just a few minutes ago. This is the space we're in, and it's really stunningly beautiful. And if you notice, Nityananda and Rudy are both part of the equation. Padmasambhava hovering over all of us. This is the classroom setting. And it's really, really an exquisite place to be. Um, this class began yesterday. They've already, excuse me, been two classes, and they're already online for anybody who wants to go back to the beginning, as if there was a beginning or an end. It's just things in motion, but it was contextually meaningful, I think, to talk about being here, and it is really significant on every level that people find a moment in their life to make a pilgrimage to somewhere that supports their deeper inner being, their faith, their wholeness as beings, in order to say thank you. It doesn't have to be big Indian. You can all find your own space, whatever that may be, but something that says to the universe, really, thank you. Thank you for providing, and that I can go out of my way to express that. Somehow, out of your way is interesting because it's kind of not out of the way. It's out of your way, meaning, quote unquote, your comfort zone. And all of us have comfort zones we don't like to get out of. But in a certain sense, the real path forward is not in a comfort zone. Comfort may arise and you may be grateful for it. But if you're seeking that alone, that is not the way. The way is not about comfort or about discomfort. It's about following the directives of your own deepest heart and knowing when you are being addressed that you should listen and move forward. Thank you all for showing up here this morning. This is going to be because of the numbers today, there are a lot more people on screen today than yesterday. This will be a try not to make it a longer class, but it may be a little bit different than yesterday's class, just because unless you want to sit here for 2 hours staring at me, which I wouldn't want to do, you'll have an opportunity to work deeper faster. Let's put it that way. Get into it, guys. Go deep, and we will speed through connection to the deepest and most beautiful part of our soul. Okay? It's not that hard to get to. And if you are struggling with it, trust me, this will help you. So thank you. Thank you for being here. I have no idea what the entry point is to today's talk. There are 5,000 of them. um, I spoke yesterday, talk number 2, about the drama of losing your cell phone. And it was misinterpreted, interestingly enough, as the drama of losing your soul and of losing yourself. You'll hear about it if you listen to the talk. I think today I want to talk about something similar, which is the problem of losing your navigational system. which a lot of us have learned to rely on. And one of the really interesting things about coming to Big Indian, where we are, is that within 5 miles of getting here, it says no more system. There's no more navigation. And for many people, it's like it's panic time. you know, you know. Luckily, names are given, and there's a sign that says Big Indian. Luckily the universe provides, even when the solar system or whatever you want to call it, the Wi-Fi system doesn't. Um, and people find their way here. It's a kind of a okay, I know how to get there. Uh, the navigational system of life right now is shifting. It's challenging. And a lot of us have some difficulty knowing how to move down the road, how to get where we think we're going, where we want to go, how to find the path forward. And I guess the truth of that, and I'm sure I've spoken of it many times, but the ultimate navigational system is inside. If you have at any point in your life learned to go inside, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's something there that tells you how to move, what to do, what the next step is, how to listen to guidance. And I'll put guidance with a capital G. We are all, every human being, guided in this lifetime. And I would estimate, forgive me, this is a low estimate, maybe 2% of people are listening. And so we have a world of somewhat difficult and chaotic aspect because we're not listening. We're not tuned in. We're not aware of something trying to help us all the time. Tuning in, of course, from this practice, as we all know, is taking breaths, going into the centers of our being, the English Western terminology, the mind, the ego space, the heart, the gut, the sexuality, if you will, the reproduction zone, and then the base of the spine, which is like a rocket engine that lifts you up and beyond to see parts of your being you never even knew were there to be explored, the universe itself. But it's all in us. We call them chakras or energy centers that are available to open and guide and help us. Some are more vibrant than others for people. They're all there. When you have done a practice of a lifetime of sitting, you discover that you can begin to align them and put them together so they all work in harmony and you are guided by the entire system. Some people, as you know, and you may be one, are guided by your mind, by your ego, by your heart, but it's not complete. It's an incomplete guidance system and it can get you into trouble. So trying to align them all, which is, I think Rudy was really working at as a teacher, was to energize the flow between them and to bring this energy, it was called Kundalini energy, up the spine, around and down and back up. And it starts to pull all of us together in our core, and our core drives the show. If you're able to drive the show from that space, it knows how to do it. The problem is, for most of us, there's an it and an us. The it knows what to do, and we do not. And we do not feel the connection. We aren't, in many cases, even aware there is one. But if there is, and if you are aware of it, it often demands that you work it more completely. So it really does help you in the movement through life. And which is interesting because it helps you, but more importantly, it helps the very thing which is guiding. It knows where it wants to go and it knows where it can go and it knows it wants all of us to be part of that directionality, which changes the nature of human being, of worldly being. It moves us into connectivity. It moves us into an ease of being with one another and with ourselves. And it makes for a life that is exceptionally valuable and beautiful. Without it, and I think everyone here in this room has had their moments where they can't find it, you know what it's like. You know what it's like to be unguided, misguided, driven by certain chakras, you know? I mean, probably in our lifetime, the biggest chakras are pleasure zones chakras, things that give us pleasure. I want to say pleasure more than happiness, even. Driven by pleasure is an incredible part of the human drama, and it overrides the deeper, I'll call it pleasure of connection to self. But that pleasure isn't as immediate as an ice cream cone or a chocolate bar or whatever it is, the sugars of life, the sexual joys of life. Those have great power. They pull us outward into the world, and they're not without purpose. They're not without purpose. They want us to be pleasured. They want us to feel that we're here. This world has purpose. It doesn't just give pain, it really gives joy and pleasure. But if you're looking for that completely on the external plane, it has one central problem. This is not new information for you, but it's an impermanent condition. The sugar that you imbibe with that chocolate bar has an end. And you go, oh. And you have to do something because the craving for more of it on your tongue is so great. If you don't have a glass of water or something to wash it away so you can kind of step away from the addiction to the sugar, you are caught wanting more and more and more. And then, you know, anybody who's pays attention to the health factors in life knows that too much of any of that isn't good. Being drawn to the pleasures of another human body is a huge factor in the driving forces of the universe and of life on the planet. But once you get there, once you've had your moment of pleasure, you all know there's something else there. Now what? What do we talk about? Well, now what do we do? We just go to sleep? There's all this crazy stuff that goes on with the end of an orgasmic moment. What now? Now what? Welcome to real life. Now what? What do we do? How do we find our way forward in this universe? And again, it all comes down to navigational system. It may say, kiss the person next to you, tell them you love them, and go to bed. Just that little thing. You may forget to have done that. It may tell you, you know, a second Hershey bar is not a good idea. It's a navigational moment. And if you listen, you'll be fine. If you don't listen, if you crave all these things in life, good luck. So finding a navigational system at this moment in time, particularly this moment in time, is central. And there's a part of me that is wanting to talk about this moment in time, and another part of me just wants to stay universal and keep us out of the morass of stuff that's going on in the world right now. But I'm going to tap into it a little bit. And I'm going to tell you that the world around us is changing drastically, dynamically. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know if you've looked at a newspaper or talked to most people. And it's a challenging one. This is challenging, transformational time. It's possible to react to it in ways that will damage your system, make it hard for you to find guidance, hard for you to know how to move forward in the world and what to do next, what's going to be happening, what is this all about? Why me, why us, why whatever? Other people cheering it on and as though this is the best thing that's ever happened. But the world is changing in very dynamic ways. And if you want to get into judgment, and I'm easy for that, but don't know that that's valuable right now. Getting out of the judgment is trying to understand that if you've ever needed help navigating, The space that you are moving through, now is the time. And if you want a navigational system that is better than your brain and your thought patterns, which really do limit your choices, it's not grounded in real depth. And if it does start to get grounded, often it's grounded in fear and discomfort, trying to find a way to get away from or past the thing that's destabilizing you and the life around you or the world around you or whatever. And right now it is the world around you is becoming very destabilized. When life is destabilized, it's normal to be frightened and to panic and look for safe haven, if you will. You know, if you're looking for safe haven in the world, it will possibly appear for a moment, but it will not be permanent, of course. It will be part of the human condition, which is impermanent. If you're looking for safe haven, the drive in your guidance system will take you inward, inward, not outward. But if you think safe haven is going inward and hiding from the outward, forget it. Because the inward and the outward are one thing. They are profoundly connected. Your guidance system is of the world. It's also of the psyche and the soul and the spirit, if you will, but it's of the world. And you have to know you cannot hide or go away or think you can find safe haven in this inner space, because that's not what it's for. It's to help you find your way through this moment, whatever this moment is. This moment may have aspects of real drama and fear and discomfort. And if you are looking to get away from drama and discomfort, there is a place inside that will welcome you, and it will hold your hand, and it will speak kindly to you. It will whisper sweet thoughts into your ear, and you will feel like, thank you. But it doesn't mean that things won't happen. There's a student in class right now who's from Israel who could at any moment get a signal to go into a shelter. I don't care how much you meditate. I don't care how much you meditate. That can happen, and may have happened. Um, all I can tell you is if you think you're buying yourself into a free ticket into pleasure and peace and comfort for the rest of your life through your spiritual journey, I said this last week when I talked about transactional spirituality, it won't work. You're still in a body, you're still in a mind, you're still in a world, and you are having to navigate difficult spaces. The known day-to-day life of our existence is okay. Most of us can feel our way through it and go, okay, I should make a left turn to the supermarket, or I should I should make the turn to go to the CVS or whatever. And something in you is guiding you to do those things. And it's pretty simple. But if the air raid sirens are going off and you are no longer in a world of just going to the market, but something else is going on in your life, you need a deeper connection. And you have to be able to follow what's happening inside yourself. And so, what I am promoting here, more than anything, is going deeper, working harder. And if you think it's for yourself to get to a place of comfort, pleasure, joy, simplicity in the middle of drama, I would venture to say that's a misnomer. It's a misunderstanding, because what it's really for is all the other people around you who do not know how to do this. You become the navigational system and the help and the guidance for people around you. In other words, the universe is serving you, not just for you, but for everyone else. And it does that because it loves everyone else as much as you. And because they don't always have an access point to that system, and you do. And the more people you can help and guide, the more the universe will be using you, if you will, to do that, because it needs us to be that. It needs us to go into the world as forces of assistance, help, love, connection. And there are a lot of ways to do it. I think probably the least effective is lecturing, telling people, do this, do that, do it this way, do it that way. Maybe one of the better ways is, I would call it the hugging method. Hug another person, make them feel something like they felt. Again, I use this a lot all the time nowadays, the crib moment, when your mother comes in and your bed is wet and you're miserable and takes you and comforts you. We are, can be, have been trained to be, and are learning to be even more so, comforters in the world, to be able to bring something to the other. If you can get past yourself and move toward other, that is the real, if you will, spiritual journey, taught by many great teachers, Christ being among them. Do unto others, forgive them, for they know not what they do. It's not about you being on the cross, if you will. It is about you taking that horrible fear and pain and discomfort that you might be feeling and not knowing how to navigate the world right now, and finding that if you can just hold someone's hand, one, yes, you'll be helping them, but in truth, that connection, that otherness is helping us. It's really helping us. We are in this together. None of us are separated from one another. We are one with each other. We are in the same space. We are in the same environment. We're on the same planet. And whatever is going on here is not about them. And it's not about you. It's really about us and the collective human experience that is so vibrant and so vital. And right now, it is being challenged. It is being challenged on so many fronts that mental clarity, emotional clarity are getting challenged by it and don't know what to do. So, as Rudy would say, ask for help. Help to surrender and find a deeper voice to guide you. I'm telling you, it will probably not come up with a dramatic solution. It'll probably come up with a very gentle solution, a simple thing. Call someone, you know, eat an apple. Something that will calm the system and give it clarity and give it an ability to be of service. Because a hostile, excited, angry, nervous, dramatic persona doesn't help anybody, including you. So if you want to be a truly evolved spiritual being, and to sit in a class like this means that there's some interest in that idea, other is everything. Other. But you cannot help others if you haven't done your work. You can't do it. It has to be found in your core, and you have to dig deep, and you have to do the work. And, excuse me, some days the work is easy, some days it's hard. Sometimes we're facing, and those of us who are here right now are facing what may be years and real years of transformational demand. This is going to be, this is a challenging time. So it requires muscle and commitment and willingness to do. And yes, you are going to be disenfranchised in some way from parts of your comfort zone, but trust me, that's part of the process. It is not new to the world. If you have any perspective outside of your house and your home and your village or your city or whatever, and you look at the larger world, you know you're not, the world has often been in trouble. It's often had struggles and difficulties on massive levels. We, as a Western culture, have had an incredibly beautiful ride. Perfect? No, not perfect, but really extraordinary. And it's really, really being challenged. If you want to get dramatic about it and you want to go, oh my God, okay, you can do it, but it won't get you anywhere. It won't. What will get you somewhere is clarity, simplicity, and going, even this, even this. And also, it has always been thus. The whole world has been like that. We have had, trust me, an enormously blessed life in the journey we've taken. Unbelievably blessed. We have had levels of human comfort unknown to the human race in the last, well, in my case, 80 some years. And I have been, aware from early on. I entered the world in the middle of World War II. I didn't know it was a war. I just felt myself being hugged all the time. When I became conscious, I was aware of people being really nice. And I always say that I think the war was responsible for that. You get come out of a war, and for about 4 or 5 years, people are like really considerate of one another, and there's a lot of familiarity and connection, and you've all been through it together. And then that begins to disperse, of course, and the world goes back to being what it is. But it never, in our lifetime, went back, at least on Western culture, into another world war. Might we face things like that? I'm not trying to, sow seeds of fear, but the possibility is stuff could erupt. And we have to be able to be available to others and to ourselves as forces of cohesion, comfort, and guidance. And I'm just trying to say this because those of you who have a spiritual life that is like once every so often are not going to get through this. You need to be consistent. You need to go deep. You need to be regular. You need to be practiced. You need to have muscle. If you do not have that, no criticism and no judgment, but it will be hard for you. It will be hard for you not to be able to meet the moment and find your way through clouds of smoke and dust or God knows whatever else might erupt and know how to take another step forward. It will be hard. It will be hard even with your spiritual life because it will be tested in a major way. I mean, even saints and people who we have respected were brutally taken out of this world. So, just because you have a spiritual life is not the doorway to peaceful anything. It's just an opportunity to bring a clarity of awareness and the possibility of real love and service into moments of great discomfort. It's the possibility. And you are all here representing possibility. Everybody who's here represents that. In a way, we don't want to hear this thing. In a way, we'd rather just sit home, be quiet, or sit in a monastery and meditate into our place of comfort and joy and have the world be that, but the world is not that. And here's one other part of the equation. The world is everything. The universe, the creator, has created everything. So it's not like the creator is love and not hate, joy and not suffering. It's the totality. It is the totality. So to try to think that one side is the answer is imbalanced. In some way or another, we have to all embrace that something greater is at work, something greater that actually has nuclear power, something greater that causes terrible suffering, something greater that brings little babies into this world. There is something greater going on, and it appears, this is to the human mind, to have an agenda. It appears, and we seem to feel in our deeper navigational system that it knows what it's doing and knows where it's going. But do we know that for 100%? No. But do we have something inside that trusts? Yes. And I know that my spiritual life has a trust in it with a capital T, and it goes yes. And it goes yes to the directives that basically keep saying, love, be kind, help, serve the world, be the light, be the light. save one soul. That's what I keep getting over and over. Is this a guarantee? Absolute. But I will tell you, my sense of it is, and certainly when I sit and teach here and when I work with all of you and I am allowed to experience a flow of energy from this body into your being, I cannot tell you how much it loves you, every one of you. It loves you. Now, you, I think, have all felt that a little bit, and sometimes in this class you get a taste of it. But I can only tell you, I know that is what happens in this bizarre experience of energy exchange, this energy flow, and it's happening for one reason. It's to provide you with love and joy and some comfort and a navigational system that will help you do it for yourself and then, God willing, for others. That is what we're doing here now. You're all sitting here. If you're here to, to find a release from the world and suffering and everything else, probably change the channel, go somewhere else. But what we're here to do is to recognize the unknowable, the unrealizable on some level reality of the universe, at least through the brain and the mind, and to come to a place of trust and service and kindness and goodness that works moment to moment, hour to hour, turn right, turn left, pick that up, do this, do that, chop wood, carry water, whatever it tells you to do, that's what we're here for. If you do that, my feeling is, my belief is, and if you can touch this trust zone, the universe will say thank you to you. And you will say thank you to the universe. I think that's where we're headed. Big thank you. Enormous gratitude. If I'm wrong, you can yell at me for the rest of time and space, but all I can tell you is I don't think I'm wrong. And and I'm not speaking as Bruce, love you. So onward, this is class number 3 of 4. God knows where class number 4 is going to go. I feel like I've said everything I need to say. Maybe it'll just be questions and answers, but I am open to that even right now. So if anybody has any questions or answers, I'm happy. Tara, I know you very well, obviously. I know you very well, and I know that you, certainly when we sit, can touch the heavenly spaces, if you want to call them that. And I know the hell realms that you go into, and you're not alone. Many, many people have that. I don't know if you all heard what Tara was saying, but she's been a student since she was 19. She's now 52. Her class today was exceptionally open and available, and then it turned into something darker, which is often the case when you go back into your body and your body's in pain, which I know you have a difficult body to sustain in so many ways. And pain is hard for human beings, and we get caught in the transitions between one and the other, or the oscillation between heaven and hell. And it's there for human beings. And the question is what to do to work harder, to go deeper, whatever that may be. And of course, that's at the source and the core of Rudy's practice. And the answer is as best that I can give it, and it's not enough really. But sit more, just sit more, be more regular about your practice, ask harder, ask for more. Don't get as caught up in the drama of suffering. The drama of suffering is very human. It's very diverting on every level, and for some reason, it keeps us from God, really, from truth. And so, if you know the difference and you're able to see the difference, make a choice. And it takes sitting more, sitting deeply. It's not there just when whoever this is teaching a class, or the Rudy tradition, or the whatever traditions are filling this room. It's all there all the time for everybody. If you want it, it cannot be, in my experience, a casual commitment. It's like everything. It's the core. It's the core. You know, I had a job. I was a curator of film at the Whitney Museum, and I was offered to live in an ashram in Bloomington, Indiana. and it was not a choice. I didn't care. Goodbye, Whitney, which was a very big job of sorts. And I went to Indiana to be nobody in an ashram. I know it was the right choice. Not easy on some level. People said, "Are you crazy?" Including the head of the Whitney Museum. But I just went. This is what I have. I have to do now. Again, to get into Bruce stories, my wife was 100% beside me on this. So in some ways, it helps to have reinforcement. But if you need reinforcement in life and there isn't coming from another person, call me. I will try to give you an answer or an insight or something that will clarify what it might be. But all I can tell you is it's not about easy choices. It's not about comfort. It's about consistency. It's about sitting, in my case, every day. I'm not going to go into the whole drama of this, but 44 years of sitting every day and then realizing that I was in my own way, that my sitting was Bruce wanting something for Bruce, and I was the problem. And I stopped sitting, and when I stopped sitting, the universe opened up. It just opened up because it was no longer about Bruce. It was something else. And I'm not telling people not to sit, but you got to give it the 44 years, you know. And if you don't do that, this won't happen. So it's work, just work. Anybody else online in class? Yes.
So my question is, when you say that when we meditate, we sit and we go inside and we ask for help to surrender. Can you talk a bit about what asking for help to surrender?
That's the very, very first thing Rudy told me. He said, you go in your heart and you ask for help because mostly we can't do it alone. And we don't know what surrender means and we don't know who we're asking. So it's a pretty obscure thing on some level. But but there is, if you start to do this, go into your heart. Well, first of all, where is that? Somewhere he points to the center of your chest. So it's a chakra rather than a biological organ. And you go into the chakra space, and it's a space that you know because if you've ever, and maybe you don't, but everybody's different, if you've ever loved anyone or felt comforted by people or felt touched by the world or life itself or beautiful flower or whatever, the feeling comes from right here in the center of your chest. And that's the space. And if you can find that space, whatever, go into a museum and see a painting you love and go, there you are. That's it. And then take a breath and go, please help me to surrender, which means to go deeper into this, not try to hold that feeling because holding that feeling obstructs it, but to let go to that experience. And you go, and it goes deeper yet. And then you go, wow, that's interesting. And then you go, well, is that it? Then you go, Rudy will say, take a series of breaths over the course of a class, not continually, but he would say, go again, ask again for help to surrender. And then suddenly that feeling you had after that breath and after seeing that moment in the museum or whatever is like deeper yet. And then it's suddenly every artwork around you is like more beautiful than you've ever seen before. You take another breath, and everybody in the museum looking at the artwork is more beautiful than you ever imagined before. And then your mind goes, oh my God. And then you go, oh, that person's really beautiful. And this person, then your mind gets in the way of all this. So you got to go, help me to let go of that, surrender, to go into, wow, this space is pure, pure appreciation. It's pure engagement with this feeling of gratitude. And it is beyond anything you've ever known. And it is a witness to the very thing you are in the middle of. And that's what happens. That's just your heart chakra. Please help me to surrender. Then you do that in your navel chakra, and you do that in the other chakras. And Rudy works primarily with the heart and the navel chakra, but they all start to they all start to come into alignment. And then you are a walking, talking, breathing act of surrender.
So surrender means to let go of your ego and stuff like that that's preventing
Yes. Well, the ego from identifying with all this, going, hey, look what I got. This is, I'm surrendered. You're in trouble. That is trouble. There's no I in the surrender. That's probably one of the great teachings. There's no I. Look what I have. I mean, it gets in the way. And a lot of people do experience that when they ask for help to surrender and they get this experience, they do identify with it. And a lot of teachers, unfortunately, identify with it too. Look what I can do. Problematic. But you live in the world of problems and difficulties. If you want a good navigational system, it will tell you when to leave a teacher. That served me at certain points. And what's the higher voice? What's the deeper voice? What's the deeper knowing? And I'm telling you, this is the feeling part of it. The knowing part kind of comes up here. The ego that relates to it is really locked in this area. If you can surrender the ego, you will be much more available to the voice of your being. It will become more eloquent, make you say what you really truly deeply feel and experience. This, when it really opens, isn't cognitive anymore. It's like direct awareness. When you feel it from down here, it's knowing the truth in a way that you can't know it from any of the other places. When you have to go through the loss of parts of you, the part that regenerates you is the sex chakra, brings new life back into you in a way. And you need to do that over and over again as you let go and kill off the parts of you, or at least let die the parts of you that are obstructing you from this knowing. And then this stuff starts to come together with the energy of Kundalini, and you start to become this amazing surrendered being. And you starts out with asking for help to surrender in the heart. And it's a lifetime's work. That's the other thing we said. This is not a few weeks. It's a lifetime's work. And I am at a point after I'm at 60 some years of doing this, of realizing how much I need it. If I've ever needed a navigational system in my life, it's now. And is it there? Yes. And I'm a walking fountain of gratitude. That's what happens. Anybody else? Zach?
A question kind of similar to Charles' question. I feel like there's a space. It's like it's all here, and then I'm there, and there almost feels like there's something on the other side of it, and any kind of effort to get there seems to interfere with the space. So I don't know if it's clear at all, but I feel like there's something beyond it, and I don't know how to go beyond it.
You can't.
Okay.
It's only by letting go of you that you will become aware that you are that thing which is beyond you. You cannot go there as a person. You can't go there as Zach. Sorry. Got to leave him behind. He's a good guy, but he's not going to help you on that particular part of the journey. It separates you from that. And if you try to bring him into the equation, it will cause you a lot of difficulty. And most people do. Most people try to bring themselves into it, and it creates a true sense of false spirituality. And you see it everywhere. If you really want to be there, it's to recognize, as people will tell you in certain realms, you already are. You're there. Just let go of Zach. It's hard to do, and maybe down the road it will become easier because Zach will be somewhat of more of a problem, and you will be less inclined to want to bring him along. I've certainly learned that with Bruce. I don't. Bruce is of no interest to me other than the fact that there are certain obligations that this form person being has that I'm trying to utilize, but there's a much better being in place that has very little to do with being Bruce. I couldn't care less about Bruce. And it's really, really amazing because if a Bruce was sitting here, nobody else would be. And if you were, you would not be happy. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, I think there's some kind of still holding in place, and there's a level where I'm freaked out to let go of the holding.
Yeah. There's a bargaining dance that goes on for you to get to there, but you want to be brought into the equation. I'm telling you, you don't want you there. It's so much better without you. Truly. Who and what we are is so much greater than the only ownership of a limited temporary thing that's here to learn and to process and to have and experience all of this. But it's the depth of spiritual awakening will not involve you as an owner of that. at all.
Is there even any benefit in trying to bring that energy in through the chakras or something? Because I feel like
When you say that energy, what do you mean?
uh let's say there's like a whoop, like a centering, and then there's this ambient
Yep.
higher energy,
Gotcha.
and then I feel like okay, well I should circulate that through the chakras.
Okay, the
But
problem is the I part, thinking I should do. It is there already.
okay,
That opening that occurs, this thing that happens in the chakras, you don't have, once it's in play, let it happen. The idea of asking for help, I know it feels like it's the I is me, I'm asking for help, but it's really something else. It's a process. This asking for this thing to go further is really to kind of step away, step away, because you're limiting it. Even by asking for it to become more, it's kind of like you wanting something. The trick in the spiritual journey is stepping back and letting it do what it wants to do. It does it. It does it. It's beyond understanding. So yes, there's a body and a mind and a person and all that stuff in this equation right now, but it's going to become less an equation and more about it. And you will become a vessel of service. That's really what you will be. That's what you are. But there's still a part of you involved in that, and it compromises it on some level. If you want to truly, truly give, it's not you who's doing it. Wendy. I'm not sure if any of you are hearing any of this, and I apologize if you're not. You're not, right? I'm so sorry. I'm being asked what it means to save someone, and then who do you pick? What's the list? You know, your mother's nodding; she's back. um, um, how do you save? How do you choose how to pick somebody to save? Well, of course, my answer is you don't. It's if it's in front of you, it's yours, is Rudy's teaching. So you don't have to go out of your way to save souls. I mean, you can give donations to charities and things like that, which I recommend. I mean, I think I recommend because some charities are not as trustworthy as others. But I do know that if something is in front of you, it's your job. And if you can give to that, if you can be part of that, you can serve the awakening that the universe wants, not the one you want. And that helps. It just helps deeply. If you feel something inside you that should do something for someone, listen to it. I mean, I've had so many phone calls recently with people that I just feel I need to call right now. And you cannot imagine how they said this was the most important moment. You called it exactly the right moment. There's no way for me to know that, but it just happens. So all I can tell you is try to take your mind out of the equation and keep the knowing factor in the equation, and it will direct you. Okay.
that
Right. David is saying that when you get old, a lot of the spiritual journey starts to happen for people. And that's absolutely true. I mean, you may not recognize it as that if you haven't had training in it at all. You don't know exactly how to engage it, but it does occur. And for me, of course, it's happening in very, very major ways. And the difficulties and the awareness though that comes with the becoming older is like I am so grateful that I've had a life of preparation for the dynamism of this moment. It's really extraordinary. And and I know and we've met late in life, but I can see this thing, percolating strongly inside you, and you're not sitting there by mistake at this point. And this not everyone has that connection. Not everybody wakes up to that wow factor that age brings you. But if you're lucky and you program yourself and you're ready for it, it is like the journey to liberation, really. It's an amazing journey. Jerry's asking about, is there a book to teach us about chakras and everything? Is there a book? Is there a good book for that?
I was actually gonna recommend, there's a teacher named Sally Kempton. Unfortunately, she passed away about
She
two
used to
years
be a
ago,
Rudy student.
but she what was it?
She was a Rudy student.
Seriously?
Mhm.
Of course. I'm studying with her intensely right now
Huh.
with some online classes she does. She has some courses that she's done online about Kundalini and the chakra system. I found them very helpful.
Sally Kempton is a woman
Yeah,
you
I
all.
can note that down for you.
There's also a book Body of Light, written by John Noon, Bobby Shore.
Okay.
Every system.
Okay, a book called Body of Light by John Mann and Lar Short. Okay, and the book by Sally Kempton, or teachings by Sally Kempton, all students of Rudy's, that will delineate this more than is spoken about in class.
And he talks about it in his book, right?
Rudy, yeah, of course. And yeah, Rudy's book, Spiritual Cannibalism, is a good place to go. Um, but the idea of learning about it and processing it for me is fine, nothing wrong with it. But we're of an age, you and I, where that you have to get through that part because it informs, but the real work is not satisfying the mind's awareness of this. And the mind is only a small part of a larger knowing. And I will tell you, the mere fact that you're here, the mere fact that you've driven this far, that you've come from one of the few people online and actually made an effort to be in this place, is all in alignment. And for you to figure it out, on some level, doesn't necessarily advance the agenda. You are already in the agenda. You are deeply connected. It's nice, I suppose, to kind of understand it for the sake of understanding, and reading a book will not be harmful, of course, but you already are the thing you're looking to learn about, which is really interesting. So you can study yourself. You'd be a good teacher. The Rudy Ashram, which is what this is in some ways, even though it's passed through many other hands, is a very special space. It is a energetic space. I don't know if you understand what energetic space is, but if you were to get in a car and come here, you would figure it out. It is potent with energy. Rudy felt it the minute he got out of the car here. He called it an ancient, amazing energy force that is here. It's very, very tangible. And it's going through a lot of transformational changes as we speak. Potentially could fall apart. It needs support. It needs huge amounts of support to keep it going. It is a beautiful space. Part of it is in disrepair. Part of it is exactly what Rudy had dreamt it would be, and what will be needed at some point, and we may be in touch with you about that, is any kind of support that you can offer to keep this going and to keep it so that we can even make it into something greater. To really make it great would take something probably beyond the ability of everybody here online. But the idea of trying to funnel help, whatever that may be. I mean, Rob Baker is a man who used to bring his entire group of students up from Texas to build part of this ashram. And they would come up for 2 weeks and they would live in tents and they would work. To me, Silver Ra is another name for him, is an example of giving outside of the financial system. It's just being available to help build and do things. There are people who come here to mow the lawn, who work on the Rudy statue and the shrine that it's enclosed in. There's so many ways to be of help to this space. And this is something that we are going to be calling upon for people to do. It is not the entryway into the practice of Rudy. And I really want to stress that. It is not, you don't have to give a penny, but you have to give. You have to give. And what that means is for you to find out, what do you give to keep this? By this, I mean this physically and also this spiritually going in the world, in the universe. Giving is the answer. And if you can give, or you know people who can give, or you know where we can, if you know any billionaires who are really interested in the spiritual journey, who might want to contribute to this expansion, that would be stunning and beautiful. And let us connect. But one way or another, this will not operate without help. And we are asking everyone who's here to donate, $50 a day. It's not limited to that, and nothing is required. You can come and offer nothing. But if you have the ability, any help for this space is valuable. And certainly connect with me, or I'll connect you with Daniel, who's really kind of taken charge of making this happen. and this will sustain itself. This will keep going. So, thank you. Is there anything else I need to add to that? Okay.
I think everyone got your emails, so if people do want to make any contributions, they can do it through a Stripe link through many.
Right. Yes. There's a what's it called? Stripe link.
Yeah. Like
Yeah. So anyone who wants to donate money can do it online through the email if you haven't gotten rid of it.
And it is tax deductible.
It's tax deductible. Okay. So you all, those of you who are still around know that something unusual is happening in this space and in this space online. Something unusual, meaning that unfortunately it's not everywhere every day for everyone on the planet. Be interesting if it was. I could see a future where the planet would be that. But this is not right now. And anything you can do to flower in this space of energy and let the scent of your flowering fill the room and fill the universe would be great. Thank you all. There will be a class at 3 o'clock today, and have a good lunch. And all of you have a good whatever morning or whatever. Love you all.